Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 35 of the Shadow Cult podcast. We are back yet again for more Royal Rumble discussion. As always, you got myself, Levi, Scott, Walt, and James. We are back for the third episode of Royal Rumble month. After this, we got two more to go. But tonight, we're talking about, honestly, for me, one of the more underrated overall Royal Rumble shows. In my opinion, Royal Rumble 1998. So, you want to talk about a huge turnaround from the last episode we did, 1995, and how that was. So, we're right in the middle of the beginning of the Attitude Era that arguably started less than a year prior. And when I tell you the numbers that we got for this show, holy crap, you're going to think it's like night and day from even the show the year before, 97, which we covered early on in this show's history. God, can you believe it's been almost a year already? It's insane. So anyway,
it feels like 52 weeks.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah, we're getting close to 52 weeks. Wow, my voice. My voice just went to the shitter for a second. So, but before we get started, wanted to say hi to all the people in the chat. Ricky, how's it going? I'm shocked you haven't done the Diabolus thing yet. And great, now I said it. Now that I said it, now you're probably going to. Me and my big mouth.
Edit that. Now it's in.
Jesus. And yes, I am rocking the new DK Army shirt that I got in the mail today, my third and final Daniel DK shirt, which, real quick...
I'm rocking the Brody Lee shirt here. Actually, an AEW t-shirt, folks. I'm actually wearing an AEW t-shirt, but it's Brody, so it's allowed.
Yeah.
It's acceptable. It's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually, real quick, speaking of Daniel DK, Scott, I hear you got a little special announcement you want to make about the Necrocasticon.
Yes, fans of Levi's channel and the Horseman podcast that he's done have gotten to see Exciter guitar player Daniel DK on there, and I'm happy to announce that Daniel DK will be joining Walter and myself this Tuesday on our episode of this Monday, I should be saying, on the Necrocasticon Horn Metal podcast. It's going to be coming out a week from Monday. But yes, Daniel DK will be on the show, so it should be a fun conversation with him. And big thanks to Levi for the hookup.
Oh, you're welcome for that. After all, I managed to weasel his way into the Horseman podcast, and we might try and get him for the next episode of that when we do top 10 albums of the 90s. Oh my god, that's going to be difficult, but regardless. So yeah, I wanted to get that tidbit out there since I pointed out the shirt, but now... let's actually talk. And also, Lindsay, how are you doing in the chat? I'm surprised you haven't said, hi, Dad.
Hi, honey.
And Walter just looked at us like, what?
Yeah, he does that.
But anyways, so, Royal Rumble 1998 from the San Jose Arena in San Jose, California. So to go over some statistics, so attendance was 18,542, sellout with 16,661 paid, live gate $414,373, pay-per-view buys 300,000. Compared to the year prior with Royal Rumble 1997, the attendance and pay-per-view buys were higher than 97, but... or actually, no, why did I say higher? It should be lower than 97. I must have been on crack anyways. No, yes, lower because I remember... yeah, I was just remembering, like, wait a second.
Were you smoking up with the New Age Outlaws before this show?
Maybe. I wouldn't put it past myself for that, but anyways. Yeah, I was so tired this morning last night when I was making my notes here, so it shows...
such good
attendance
shit.
And live gate lower than 97, pay-per-view buys higher. Although I must point out that with the live gate, despite it being way less than attendance, the live gate was about 50 grand short of the year prior's live gate. So you could definitely...
I agree, Ricky.
The year before they were selling tickets for like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna go see wrestling at the Alamo Dome? $5.
$5. And also, Ricky, I see your comment. You can never have too much Zev, so fuck off. Anyways, Scott, don't you start with me. Don't you start with me.
You want to start with me, young boy? I don't think so.
All right, so, but I digress.
Can you type with one hand? I'm sure you can.
Yes, with one finger. I'm a
one finger.
chicken
Wow.
pecker. Well, then again, actually, I need to point something out. Whenever I type, I only use 2 fingers, but I'm pretty quick with it. So
Marine style, very nice.
Yeah, I can never do the thing because my fingers don't cooperate.
Can you say you're quick with 2 fingers?
Squirt. Okay. Anyways, before we go off the rails even further.
What? Focus.
All right,
Check it out, Scott. Look, I'm Baron von Raschke, managing the power
Yes,
chain.
yeah, the Baron. The Baron is here.
The Baron.
Managing the powers of pain.
2 weeks, he was pretty much gone.
Yeah, it was he had a freaking mask on and everything. It was ridiculous.
He was around for a pay-per-view.
A pay-per-view, SummerSlam, yep.
Yeah, the SummerSlam.
Lindsay just said,
Company
"Shit,
by
you
their
guys
new
stop! I'm already
manager, the
high."
Baron.
Stop making her
I always love
giggle.
what Howard Finkelstein knew.
That's what we do, Lindsay. We're here to make you giggle.
All right, so back on track. So the attendance and live.
Okay. Fuck us. That's the idea. Problem?
Okay, statistics, Levi.
You're hearing
What's
this. You're
stopping
hearing.
you? Come on.
You're hearing the
Focus.
sound of my hopes and dreams die.
What the hell are those?
Okay, all right. I got the laughs out.
Lindsay, Clo go. Oh, I have such a raging Clo. Oh, yes.
God damn it! I'm about to cry. Oh, why?
I'll just
What have I
wait.
started us
Don't
on?
worry, I'll wait.
Oh my god.
What's that, Walt? I can't make it out.
The
Oh,
Dungeons and
okay.
Dragons Rick and Morty set.
Rick and Morty. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
Nice. Raven will be proud.
oh my god.
Yep. He's a wizard.
Fuck yeah.
All right. All right.
Where were we?
I think I've recovered now. All right. So with Royal Rumble 1998. So yes, to correct myself, attendance in Live Gate lower than 97. Pay-per-view buys higher than 97. But compared to the rest of the shows of 98, attendance was the 5th highest, with WrestleMania 14 being the highest. Live Gate was 6th highest, WrestleMania 14 being the highest. And pay-per-view buys tied for 6th highest, with Unforgiven and Breakdown, with WrestleMania 14 being the highest. So, needless to say, business-wise, this show did, for an arena show, compared to when they were at the Alamo Dome, still for an arena show, damn good. And you can definitely tell that the WWF was starting to skyrocket at this point. So, just a couple months away from them finally beating Nitro in the ratings war for a week. And then they would go back and forth.
Well, even just one night away from it's like, oh shit, the WWF is back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk more about that later on. But before we get to the show itself, Scott, what food do we have en masse for tonight?
All right. What kind of food do we have? Well, we got a lot of food this week as compared. What? It's just, yeah, man. It's shocking, I know, but it's okay.
Anyways.
Tom. Don't be a sucker. Okay. Yeah, we have a lot more food this week than we've had in the past, so I was very happy to actually kind of like feel like I was doing something contributing this week. So, for Royal Rumble 1998, let's see what we got in store for us. We have in the front row, Vlad. Vlad is there. Yes, we have Vlad on the show. Vlad is there, and also Faith No More guy is there too. We have Sonny. You know you want me. We have the Minis on the show. We have Mike Tyson, Cole Stone's my man. We have 1-800-COLLECT. Young people out there, you probably have no idea what that is. We have what a rush. And we have the 3 faces of Foley. We have low blows, run-ins, cat skinning, and lucha rolling. A lot of lucha rolls. So much lucha rolls, we can start a Mexican bakery. I swear to God. So, we have for moves on this show, we have a powerbomb plus. We'll get to that. We have a mini moonsault, a fisherman suplex, 1 belly-to-belly suplex, 1 ankle lock, 1 powerbomb, 1 STF. The move of the night is power slam, a total of 5 throughout the show. We have a regular moonsault. We have a people's elbow, even though technically it wasn't called that yet. We have sweet shin music with a double arm DDT. We have a mandible claw. We have a stunner, 1 old school, 1 pile driver, 1 sleeper, 1 top rope elbow, 1 sweet chin music, 1 crotch claw. We have a top rope elbow into the casket, 1 choke slam, 1 tombstone into the casket, and 1 choke slam into the casket. And for the foo, we have stare foo, shoe foo, nux foo, handcuff foo, chair foo, chainsaw foo, trash can foo, racket foo, crutch foo, powder foo, table foo, casket foo, axe foo, and fire foo. Incidentally, we're all going to start a new grindcore band and call it Chainsaw Foo.
Chainsaw Foo.
Oh boy, that would be quite the band.
Is that right, Rambo? Somebody's watching Boondock Saints.
And if I may add one last foo, arm drag foo.
Yeah, that's the lucha rolls I was referring to. Man.
But anyways, let's get on to the show itself, shall we? So we kick things off. On to the show! We kick things off with a one-on-one match. The artist formerly known as Goldust with Luna versus Vader. So we go rewind the clock back to November after the interview segment of Goldust getting rid of Marlena, and then going crazier than you would typically see him, losing his fucking mind, going through all these costume changes, and of course at Survivor Series, walked out on the Team USA, Team Canada match. And that
Baby
started...
New Year's the best one.
Had FU on his face.
Yeah. And then, of course, that started this feud with Vader and Goldust after the Survivor Series, where over the next several weeks heading into this show, Goldust would not only be dressing up in different costumes, like we got Dude Dust, Dusty Dust, Baby New Year Dust. After this show at the next pay-per-view, you'd get Marilyn Manson Dust. Yeah. Sable Dust being probably the most infamous one of the multiple Dusts. Mm-hmm. But, and then, of course, Goldust with Luna now, no longer with Marlena or Terry. And, of course, probably the most infamous thing I remember of the artist formerly known as Goldust stuff, him coming out with a collar on a chain on it and a ball gag in his mouth being led down by Luna.
Uh-huh.
So,
and they totally
yeah.
changed, they put like a whole bunch of like sounds in the theme music now.
Mm-hmm.
They call it staticky and industrial.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's how we get this match, and the match itself was, and
it's
maybe
an match, but Vader is freaking over,
yeah, he
man.
was super over.
Despite when the 3 counts administered, the place just pops.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and despite like we could argue after SummerSlam '96, Vader was really on the downswing in the company, and thanks a lot, Sean. But
yep.
But he was still over throughout the rest of his run up until after the Kane feud. And then
once he turned babyface, it was...
Yeah, you could argue they should have done a whole lot more with him as a babyface after he... after the babyface turn. You could argue maybe he should have got an Intercontinental title run around this time, and then, if he built him properly, put the fucking world title on him, but... You know, after the damage that was done with Sean,
by this point it was too late for him being WWF champion.
Yeah. But yeah, this match, it was an opener, but yeah, the crowd was so into Vader,
yeah, and that makes it better than it could have been on paper. Yeah. And the finish with Luna being the +1 with Vader doing the bomb there. That was just brilliant.
That was
watching
really
her
cool.
bounce.
I do feel like if this match, like, if Vader was maybe about 50 pounds lighter and Goldust wrestled more like Dustin Rhodes, this probably would have been a really good match. But we got what we got, and yes, the congrats on finding the Oreos, Lindsay, as Vader defeated Goldust in 7 minutes 51 seconds. And that's another thing, this match was only given 8 minutes, so...
Yeah, it's a short match.
Yeah.
Does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of short match,
and like as Scott and I always point out, the crowd popped when Vader went over, and that's what matters most.
That's it. Exactly.
And then after this match, the whole angle all night was Stone Cold Steve Austin. We'll talk more about that when we get to the Rumble match. But moving on to the second match of the card, as James said, speaking of short matches, pun obviously intended.
But I'm pumped.
6-man tag team match with Sonny as the special guest referee. You have
Thank
Battalion.
you for the joy that you've given me.
You have Battalion, El Torito, not the one with Los Matadores, and
Right.
Tarantula versus Max Mini, Mosaic, and Nova. I have to wonder who in the fuck did Sonny piss off to have to referee this match?
It was just an excuse to get her on the show. And she had to work with Jim Cornette about how to referee a mini match. He was telling her how to do the midget spots and everything, which she blows in the match, by the way. She doesn't do the leapfrog in time. But they recover later on with the assist with the dropkick deal. But it was what it was. And like I said, just everything in this match is into an arm drag.
Yes.
And roll and
They
bypass.
love arm drags in Mexico. They love
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they were doing them on the right side, too.
Yeah. I mean, you would hear the crowd pop for certain things, so that kind of saves this match for me. And then you get to the end. Yeah. Just... Yeah, this match... Yeah, Arthur, I just
Red
fast
Racer.
forward this match.
Thank you, Red Racer. I appreciate that.
this match was short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah, it did what it had to do.
Yeah.
Max Mini was the big star of that division, if you want to call it, or
Quote,
half of the
unquote,
division.
yeah.
A fraction of the division, if you will. But it was just, it was there to get him over, and I guess it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, as in the end,
I like the fact Sonny picks him up at the end of the match, a goddamn 5-year-old.
Yeah. And I love how
The winner
Lawler...
became AEW champion.
And I love how they built...
Why?
And I love how they... And I love how they have Sonny walk out of the ring with Max May. It's like, are they gonna do what I think they're gonna do? But regardless.
Oh, you hear the little dig that Jim Ross gets in the commentary? I've heard Sonny like short guys.
Oh, with enough. Do
Sonny
anything.
likes a lot of guys.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She loves them from the low guys to the stars.
From the curtain jerkers to
To the stars.
to the stars.
And
That's
I'm
right.
gonna say right now, if Sonny was hot up until about the mid 20-teens, like even in the early 20-teens, she was still fantastic. And then
Still smoking.
then
When she got inducted,
Still had some qualities about her.
when she got inducted in the Hall of Fame, she was hot as hell. She was in sunny shape, and then after that is when she kind of went downhill. And now she's just attention grabbing whore. So
yeah. That either needs help or needs to be put in jail.
She is in jail.
yeah,
Good.
Yeah, I think she is.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, she went back.
Ugh.
Meanwhile, the Walking Riot, Missy Hyatt, is still going. So I don't know where she is or what she's doing, but she's still.
I don't get it.
Real quick, Qualls, is it wrong for me to say every time I hear Stone Cold nowadays, I hear Scott doing his Terry Funk impression? Oh, that video, that moment is stained in your mind, hasn't it? But anyways, in the end, Max Mini, Mosaic, and Nova defeat a Battalion, El Torito, not Los Matadores, El Torito, and Tarantula in 7 minutes 48 seconds.
So my son, when my son walked in on watching this, Dad, is this a children's match?
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So after 2 matches that had some redeeming quality to them, we get a really good one. First championship match of the night for the Intercontinental Championship, champion The Rock versus challenger Ken Shamrock. Is it just me, or is the Shamrock-Rock feud the most underrated feud of the entire Attitude Era?
It's definitely one of them. they had solid matches. This is a good match. It's a lot of punching
matches,
kicks.
But they worked, and I can confirm this because I went to a house show. I believe it was either Utica or Syracuse, and this was the main event. And it was the same match that was on the Royal Rumble. Same thing, dusty finish. The night ended with Shamrock beating the shit out of all the officials, putting Sergeant Slaughter in the ankle lock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of my way!
Yep.
That's a war face.
But yeah, this match I thought was a really damn good match between these two. And yeah, you look back on it with hindsight to what they eventually did. It's like this should have been the one and done dusty finish of the feud. Like, and I love how they did it. So you had the ref get distracted, Rock hits Shamrock with the brass knucks, and then puts him in Shamrock's trunks, and then Shamrock with a belly to belly, 1, 2, 3. Shamrock's your new Intercontinental Champion, right? Until the Rock's like, oh, you hit me in the face with brass knucks, and then pulls him out like, how'd they get it here? You're disqualified. Championship gets back to the Rock. I didn't do it. And then just beats the fuck out of Kvlt. It's like, to me, looking back, especially at the WrestleMania 14 match, which we will talk about when we talk WrestleMania 14 in a couple months. Yeah, this match should have been the one dusty finish you should have done. They should not have done 2 of them because, good lord, looking back at that match at 14, but I digress.
Well, like I said, they took this match and ran the house show circuit with it. This was the finish from what I understand, for every match they did in the house shows.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And as James will point out, yeah, when Shamrock was just going crazy and he had the crowd in the palm of his hands, if Shamrock could cut a decent promo, he would have been a main eventer, no doubt about it. But him on the mic.
It didn't even have to be a great promo; just had to be decent.
Yeah,
he just had to be himself. He just had to be like, let him do his own thing.
Let him get
like good promo in UFC either.
Yeah, he didn't. Even after
Tank Abbott, you're a bully, and I'm gonna destroy you next UFC.
Just watch his promo the night after he won King of the Ring.
Yes.
It's like that's the reason why he wasn't a main eventer.
Yeah. And it's a shame that he was that way because really good worker in the ring, no doubt about it.
If they had managers, if they were allowed managers back at that time.
Yeah,
solid managers. Like maybe even it's kind of in the time frame, but Don Callis was the Jackal, and they let him run with him. It could have been.
Callis is working wonders for Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
Kenny doesn't need to talk anymore.
Thankfully,
Shamrock would have to be heel then.
That's true, but it could work still.
Yeah. But in the end, The Rock defeated.
Or he could have just had Al Snow manage him.
Oh yeah. Kenny, what's the match we're gonna do? Well, he's gonna go back and have sex. What do you think?
He used that in Smoky Mountain.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he got hired. That's why Cornette hired him.
Yeah. But in the end, The Rock defeated Ken Shamrock by disqualification in 10 minutes 52 seconds. Up next is the second championship match of the night for the tag team titles. Champions New Age Outlaws versus challengers the Legion of Doom. Now, before I go into it, the promo package for this match was fantastic, hyping up the Road Warriors and showing what the Outlaws and DX did to them, mangling them, and then Billy Gunn shaving off half of his double mohawk. But after that, holy crap, this match was fucking terrible. Oh my god. Is it just
LOD towards the end was kind of sad to watch.
And on top of that, it's like, and I was seeing people make the opinion that LOD style didn't fit the Attitude Era. I would disagree with that. I think their style definitely fit the Attitude Era. It's just them and the Outlaws just did not have good chemistry.
They didn't match.
Yeah.
And not to mention,
they never got their revenge.
Go ahead, James. Sorry.
They never got their revenge on the Outlaws. It was like the Outlaws beat them, took their titles, beat the crap out of them, put them through a table, shaved the mohawk, and the LOD never got their belts back.
Yep.
Nah. And it sucks because it's like... And also on top of that, the Outlaws were only together for a couple of months up to this point, so they were still trying to figure out, like, okay, what's our shtick going to be going forward and stuff. And on top of that...
They quickly became a good team.
They very quickly, but... And here's the problem I have with this match. It's like, with the build-up you did with Road Warriors getting their asses beat by not only the Outlaws, but also by DX with weapons and tables and the shaving of the Mohawk, this should have been like a street fight. Instead, it was a normal tag match, and again, these two just did not mesh. If this were a street fight, it probably would have been a really good match, but
they couldn't book the Legion of Doom like the Road Warriors were supposed to be booked. It just was a different time frame, and when you had, the Road Warriors were typically the biggest team in whatever territory they were working until along came the Powers of Pain, and then they had that thing happen in Jim Crockett. You go to WWF, and you've got several teams that match them up in size, strength, and everything else. So it's kind of like, how are they supposed to get over with guys the same size as they are? They were known for destroying people. There's nobody they can destroy. If this was 1987 and it was that tag team of Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, they would have got their asses handed to them in 5 minutes. It just would be that simple. Different time frame now. And as you said, this is not the best era for the Warriors. It's, they're on the way down. Mike's got his problems, all that stuff. It comes to light. So it's just
injuries as well.
Injuries piling up.
We're going to repackage you.
Yeah, LOD 2000 is in the future,
and Draws coming along.
Draws, and Sunny, and
Key, my dealer, and all that.
And all that crap.
Road Warriors in the WWF could be its own episode.
Yeah.
Very well.
And we might have to. In fact, you, James, could probably do that yourself.
There you go.
Road Warriors and WWF.
All three runs. The early run, this run, and then the short-lived 2003 time.
2001. Mm-hmm.
One match.
That 2003 period got me a trivia win.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in the end, and we get our second straight DQ finish as well, because they had Hawk handcuffed to the ring post or to the turnbuckle, and Animal seemed like he had the match won, and then Billy Gunn, whack with the chair, DQ, and then Hawk breaks out of the cuffs and cleans house, and yeah, we didn't get the proper conclusion to this whole thing, unfortunately.
Rumor Innuendo said that there was going to be a blow-off match at Mania, like a street fight, but like Hawk's problems and injuries and just the things going on with LOD just wouldn't allow it to add up, so they went with Cactus and Funk.
Which I honestly think was better. Which I honestly think was for better.
Much better idea.
I love that dumpster match to this day.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in the end, Legion of Doom defeated the New Age Outlaws by disqualification in 7 minutes, 57 seconds.
At least it was a short match.
Yeah,
it was.
At least it was short, but still, this match was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But now we get from the worst thing on the show to the good stuff, and we kick things off.
One of the few times the Royal Rumble did not close the show.
Yes.
Very few times.
And this was
the years. I mean, that one, the first one didn't close the show at the Rumble either. The very first one.
Nope.
One on USA.
And this was the third year in a row that the Rumble match didn't close. Didn't close 96, and it didn't close 97.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, it wouldn't go back to closing until the next year.
97 was Shawn and Sid. What was 96?
96, Bret Taker.
Bret and Taker. Oh, okay, you're right, yeah.
Yeah. But now we get to the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Now, I alluded to it earlier. So the big angle of this match, and also the whole show leading up to this, Stone Cold being the marked man. So this is shortly after the botched tombstone and him going around stunning everybody in his way, leading to the most famous stunner ever in MSG on Raw, and then him getting that short-lived Intercontinental title run, and then the little brief feud with the Nation, throwing the belt off the bridge, and then just beating the hell out of everybody, to the point where Austin was the marked man in this Rumble match that everybody wanted to beat the shit out of and get out of the ring. But, so the entrance in order from numbers to the end, we had Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie, Tom Brady, The Rock, Mosh, Phineas Godwin, 8-Ball, Blackjack Bradshaw, Owen Hart, Steve Blackman, D'Lo Brown, Kurgan, Mark Merrow, Ken Shamrock, Thrasher, Mankind, more on that later, Goldust, Jeff Jarrett, Honky Tonk Man, Ahmed Johnson, Mark Henry, originally Skull, Kama Mustafa, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Henry Godwin, Savio Vega, Farouk, Dude Love, Chains, and Vader. So we kicked things off with Cactus and Chainsaw as Chainsaw, quote, debuted the month prior, coming out of the big wooden box.
The box.
Coming out of the box.
The box is over.
New York indie staple, Tom Brady, number 3. Don't blink.
Yeah, don't blink.
Yeah, don't blink.
Salvatore Sincere, and later on the Patriot on the Independence.
Yeah. And I like how it's...
How many shows in the late 90s in our area did he headline?
Oh, God, like every one of them. Jeez.
Yeah. Whether it be as Tom Brady or Sal Sincere, then eventually all he does now is the Patriot, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, we kicked things off with Cactus and Chainsaw, and they're tossing in trash cans, chairs, and they're having a chair contest of who could do the most damage, and then interrupted for a brief moment by Tom Brady. 12 seconds, Brandy's gone, and then we get The Rock. And then, so as things go along, the big thing you notice, or the big thing we noticed watching this back, a lot of guys got to be in the ring for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And I'll go through them as we go through the elimination order.
How about broken down Ahmed Johnson? You could just tell right there he was done when he came.
Yeah. Why was he even still in the company
just
by
getting
this
in the
point?
ring wore him out.
He looks like he's in physical pain just trying to stand up.
I had almost forgotten he was still in the company at this point.
I did too. Yep.
And I think, didn't he get released like a few months later?
He must have been.
Something like that. Because I think he was at the next pay-per-view as well.
Yeah, I think he was.
Then that was it.
Yeah, and then you didn't see him again hardly at all forever until he
showed
was
up in
gone.
WCW, like huge.
Right.
Fighting over the letter T.
Over the letter T, yes.
Yep.
Oh boy! But the elimination
You're going down.
But the elimination order goes as followed. Tom Brady was the first one eliminated by Cactus and Chainsaw in 12 seconds. Cactus Jack eliminated next at 9 minutes 21 seconds by Chainsaw Charlie. Mosh was eliminated next, and he lasted 13 minutes 9 seconds, eliminated by Kurgan. Steve Blackman, the next one eliminated, as he lasted 5 minutes 58 seconds, also eliminated by Kurgan. Kurgan, the next one eliminated by 8-Ball, Bradshaw, Ken Shamrock, Phineas Godwin, and The Rock, and he lasted 3 minutes 38 seconds.
Kurgan was the threat that honestly was never stopped, but they did nothing with him. You notice that? Nobody ever... I don't remember Kurgan really getting beat over there.
No, it led to the oddities, and then he was off to Hollywood to make movies.
Yeah.
We went off to Hollywood.
He was unstoppable the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought he would be a guy that would challenge somebody big in that company because he's because of his size and Vince loves big guys.
If it was 10 years earlier, he'd be working with Hogan.
Yep.
Then Vince found out he liked to dance, and hence the oddities.
And he had a great movie career, though, and he still does
he
have
did.
a good movie career.
Yeah.
300, Sherlock Holmes, Deadpool 2.
Yep.
I forget what else he's in.
He was in a few other things. I think he's still going too. He's still acting.
Yeah. Robert Mallet.
Oh, and by the way, I completely passed over this. When I was bringing up when Chainsaw Charlie debuted coming out of the box, after watching WandaVision yesterday, new meme, what's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's the box?
Yeah. Anyways, Chainsaw Charlie, next one, eliminated by Mankind. And Chainsaw lasted 25 minutes, 19 seconds. And he would score 2 eliminations as he eliminated Cactus and Tom Brady. Next one, Mankind eliminated next by Goldust, and Mankind only lasted 2 minutes, 7 seconds. Jeff Jarrett...
No, go ahead. I'll say that for later.
And then also forgot to mention, with Owen Hart coming out, as he was coming out comes Jeff Jarrett and Corny attacking Owen, and then Jarrett comes out, and as he's in the ring, Owen gets back in, beats the piss out of Jarrett, and then tosses his ass out, as Jarrett only lasted 1 minute 5 seconds. Then Ken Shamrock, the next one, eliminated by The Rock, as Shamrock lasted 9 minutes 15 seconds. And as that happened, Honky Tonk Man's coming out, and right behind comes Triple H on crutches with Chyna, and they eliminate Owen Hart, setting up their WrestleMania 14 match. But
that was, I think, the injury that Triple H came back way too soon from. My wife was watching this at the time, and she remembered seeing an interview with Chyna where she said this was, I think it was the kneecap that they said, some kind of injury on Paul, and he came back way too soon. And then, of course, SummerSlam. I think it was the same knee. If he has the ladder match, and he's out again. So
yeah. So after Shamrock eliminated, then it was Owen eliminated by Chyna and Triple H, as Owen lasted only 2 minutes. And the most famous thing, apart from beating down Jarrett, right at Triple H.
Right at Triple H, yep.
Fuck you, up yours. And then after that, so number 22, the no entrance, that was supposed to have been Skull, but he was unable to compete going into this show. So they used that as an excuse for him being eliminated 11th.
Was there an explanation? I mean, I know it's not a mystery of the ages, but did they explain why?
Nope. They really never did.
Well, what ended up happening was in kayfabe, Los Boricuas thought he was Steve Austin and beat him up.
Oh, in the locker room. That's right. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Then the next one eliminated was Ahmed Johnson, as he was eliminated by both D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry, and he only lasted 3 minutes 18 seconds. Again, this is proof, Ahmed, why you were not pushed. You were made of glass. Anytime I see Ahmed,
and they didn't have Skull come out. They pretty much recreated the Bret Hart thing from '94, where nobody came out and it's like, oh, that must have been Bret. It's like, oh, nobody came out. That must have been Austin. Because the whole thing was, my sources say that Austin got laid out in the locker room.
He's not coming out here. He's not coming out. Puppies.
But yeah, anytime I see Ahmed Johnson on a card, I'm going to rip him apart every time because, oh my god, what an idiot. Anyways, next one eliminated, Phineas Godwin, eliminated by Mark Henry, as he lasted 28 minutes, 48 seconds. So yeah, you're going to start hearing these crazy numbers.
Takes out the referee, too, on the way out.
Yeah, kicked him in the face. And you can see in the replay, he's like going over to him like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah, shit, dude, sorry, don't. Sorry, Chad.
Yeah. Then the next one, then Mark Merrow eliminated by Stone Cold, and he lasted 19 minutes, 38 seconds. 8-Ball eliminated next by Austin, and 8-Ball lasted 30 minutes, 43 seconds. Next up, Bradshaw eliminated by Dude Love, and he lasted 35 minutes, 45 seconds. D'Lo Brown, the next one, eliminated by Farouk at 32 minutes, 21 seconds he would last. Honky Tonk Man, next one eliminated, he would last 19 minutes, 55 seconds, as he was eliminated by Vader. Thrasher, the next one, eliminated by Austin, and Thrasher lasted 28 minutes, 8 seconds. Then it was Kama Mustafa eliminated by Stone Cold, and Kama lasted 13 minutes, 58 seconds. Savio Vega, next one, eliminated by Austin, and he lasted 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Vader, the next one, eliminated by Goldust, and he lasted 2 minutes, 15 seconds. So you could tell they were trying to keep the Vader-Goldust feud going, even though there was really no proper conclusion to it.
Yeah.
Henry Godwin, next one, eliminated by Dude Love. He would last 11 minutes, 32 seconds. Goldust eliminated by Chains, of all people, and he would last 26 minutes, 1 second. Then Chains eliminated by Stone Cold, lasting 4 minutes, 56 seconds. And then Mark Henry eliminated by Farouk, and he would last 19 minutes, 7 seconds, leaving the final four... Yeah, leaving the final four of Dude Love, Farouk, The Rock, and Stone Cold. Essentially 2 tag teams, you could say.
3 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, 3 of them current Hall of Famers. And this Final Four, not the best, but it's not bad either. Like, of course, if you look at Farouk's past as Ron Simmons, legend. Mick Foley, legend. The Rock, legend. Austin, legend.
Worthy guys.
Yeah, nowadays, it'd be top tier type guys. Back then, Austin is on the verge of breaking through. The Rock is on his way. He's not there yet. Dude Love is everyone's favorite, and Ron Simmons, of course, established veteran in the ring.
Yeah, and of course, with Dude Love being in there, the payoff to the Three Faces of Foley angle that started back in the summer of '97, and it was awesome. The fact that
my dad went on for days about that after watching that Rumble. Oh, that Cactus Jack was something. He came in there 3 times. Oh, he still brings it up. He goes,
Now imagine if that happened today.
They threw him out and he came back as Mankind, and they threw him out again and he came back as Dude Love. I thought he was going to have a fourth identity.
Now, if that happened today, people would be bitching about Mick Foley. Oh, he's stealing 2 spots.
Yes. Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing when I was watching the match today. I thought the same thing today. Nowadays, people be bitching up a storm about that.
Yeah. Remember when Ty constantly ran in? They just couldn't stop it.
Oh, yeah, 2 years later. And then Taka.
Yes, face first.
And the replay over and over.
Let's see that replay of Taka's face plant.
Over and over and over again.
Was that Boss Man who chucked him like that?
I think so. Yeah, it was vicious when he went out there.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed Mark Henry in this match too is greener than goose shit because man, you can see he is like very awkward in the ring. He doesn't know where to go, and when he gets eliminated, he tries to step back in because he landed on the apron and like Farouk pops him. He goes to step in, and then he just like steps out of the ring and goes to the floor.
Yeah.
Ahmed Johnson all of a sudden fighting Phineas Godwin for no reason.
And then gets shoved by Kama as Kama's coming out.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, speaking of the Nation members, one of the things in this match, they were fighting each other.
Yeah, and it made no... It was so weird. It was so weird. I mean, they were teasing the section within the group. Right. Dissension within the group. That was
between the Rock and Farouk.
Between the Rock and Farouk, but it's everyone going at each other. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it kind of...
It's every man for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's every man versus Austin.
That's right.
They keep bringing that up.
Yep.
Steve Austin was John Wick. Steve Austin was Toshihiro Mifune and Yojimbo fighting the whole town of, angry villagers.
But yeah, then we get to the final 2, Rock versus Austin, a tease of what we would see at the end of the year heading into Mania 15 with Rock Austin, and it was cool. And then Austin with the stunner, and is it just me, or watching back Austin stun the Rock here, is it to me, or is it just me, or is it weird that the Rock isn't selling the stunner like a crazy man that he would do eventually?
He can't yet. Not in this match.
Yeah.
Because he has to take it, bounce right up, and then get thrown out. So,
yeah. But in the end, very predictable, but Stone Cold wins his 2nd straight Rumble match. Yeah, you could argue.
Cheers. Yay! Cold Stone.
Yep. Cold Stone. Yeah, Mike Tyson was there the entire night in the skybox.
But just that some parts of that Rumble just dragged on. Too many guys in the ring at one time. And even with like the Austin entrance, even though it's like everyone turns to face the aisleway and he does the jump from behind, he goes right to it. Once he's in there, it's kind of like, yeah! And it comes down again.
Yeah.
Right until the end.
Austin is not the normal big pop.
No, it's not.
He's getting there, but it wasn't like, 3-4 months later.
Road Warrior pop level yet. So it was getting there, but it wasn't there yet. So it's kind of like, and it's, like I said, just some parts of it just dragged on. Way too many guys in the ring at the time. And my wife and I were like, because I wasn't jumping ahead in the match, we're like, is it Kane in this? And we're like, no, where is Kane? Of course, later on, he's coming out of the main event. But it's like, shit, there's no guy. There's only guy in the match that could be the Kane of the match was Kurgan. And they dumped him out already.
Yeah.
So,
you think they would make Kurgan a killer in that match?
Yeah.
No. Why would they do that?
They didn't. And in fact, Kurgan only got 1 elimination. Or actually, no, he got 2 eliminations. Mosh and Blackman.
Also about this Rumble, Steve Austin is the last man to date to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so some other statistics about this match. Austin garnered the most eliminations in the match with 7, and Rock was the Iron Man, lasting 51 minutes 32 seconds, which pretty good for The Rock, and sort of began not only with the IC title run, but this started to slow ascension to the top by the end of the year.
On this night.
Yeah, getting a long time in the Rumble is a push in and of itself.
So overall, with this Rumble match, Scott, saying what you said about having too many guys in there, I personally like it when the ring gets filled up with a lot of guys, because to me it feels like a Rumble match when you have a lot of guys in there. Because if there's too little guys in there, then it feels like the match feels empty in a way when there's not enough people in there.
So I guess you were
depends on the situation.
Where more than half of it was tossing guys out one at a time.
All really depends on the situation. For last year, it worked with Brock being the only guy here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This for the '98 Rumble, I can see why they had a lot of guys in there at once, because they wanted that moment when Austin came out and everybody was against Austin.
Yep.
I can sort of see why they had a bunch of people in at a time, but it's like some of these guys go in 30 minutes, almost 40 minutes.
Yeah, like 8 Ball,
I can understand Rock
Bradshaw.
going 50, but
Yeah.
It was
Even Terry. I love Terry Funk, of course, but why is he in there for that long?
It's like
Cactus had to get in and out. Hey Terry, I gotta
change.
I got to change in the Mankind.
Let's not take too long. A day. I gotta go back out one more time.
What day? I always remember going to a house show one time in Albany, and I forgot what the match was. It was Mankind against somebody, and this is like 96, 97 Mankind, and so I actually got a front row seat for this show on the floor, right front row, and I don't know what it was, but it was just so hilarious. Mick comes out as Mankind, does the whole, that whole thing and all that shit, and he walks right through the entranceway on the side of the ring, and somebody yells something out to him, and I hear him go, still with the straight face, "Thank you." And gets in the ring. I don't know what they said, but it's just the fact that he's doing the whole focus, and I'm crazy, and mommy, why'd you make me play piano and do that to my fingers? I love rats, and I was like, "Thank you."
Thank you.
Thank you. In the ring, he went at him. I forgot who he wrestled, but still, it was funny.
But back.
What day?
Every time Cactus is on TV, even now, my dad's got to bring up that Royal Rumble and the fact that Cactus can't get along with his tag team partners.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember when him and Abdul, the bunch of they after they beat their opponents up, they beat each other up.
Did him and Max Payne do that?
No.
We got one.
That's what I try telling my dad. I'm like, I got along fine with.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him about Max Payne, and he goes, "I don't remember him."
But anyway, so despite all that, I thought this Royal Rumble match was a really good Rumble match. Granted, predictable as hell. Most of us knew Austin was going to win, especially looking back on it. But still, it doesn't take away from, in my opinion, how good this Rumble match was. Definitely better than quite a few of the ones previously, like 95 and 96, if you ask me. But overall, good Rumble match. But now
this is the era of the predictable Royal Rumble matches where you know who's going to win right at the start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's also the era of like everybody in the match has an angle. Everybody in the match is known. Everybody in this Rumble stands out in some way, shape, or form. And that was one thing I think Al Snow put over about Vince Russo's booking. Even though, Vince did not have a strong, long run, he had a strong, short run. Everybody that was on TV was involved with something. Everybody had a spot. And whether it was the highest guy in the card or the lowest guy in the card, everyone had a spot here. And that's happened with this match. Granted, there's a bunch of gangs and teams and stuff.
Oh, yeah. How could we forget? Gang Wars was still going on at this point.
Right. Yeah. It's all
the entire stable basically an entrant?
Yeah.
Yes, Sabio came out and the rest of them, and they all tried to beat up Austin.
Yep. And they put over, hey, only Savio Vega's in this match. Those other 3 men ain't supposed to be in here.
Yeah. Gang Wars was still a thing at this time. Granted, it was shortened down to 4 factions, but still. Yeah, the Nation, DX, Los Boricuas, and the Truth Commission.
It's like DOA no longer had Crush, and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was Crush? Was he gone from the company by this point?
He was in the NWO, because he left right after Montreal.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah, the DOA kind of bailed out. Their leader kind of bailed out shortly after the whole thing started.
Yeah.
But now on to...
Hello, Sean. Hello, Sean. Thanks for stopping in, man.
Yeah. But now on to the main event. Casket match for the WWF Championship. Champion Shawn Michaels versus challenger The Undertaker. So a continuation of the feud.
Match, Shawn Taker 97-98 trilogy. People forget about that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the continuation of the feud that started back at SummerSlam when Shawn accidentally hit Taker with the chair and then hit him again. And then we had the match at Ground Zero. First ever Hell in a Cell match with the debut of Kane. And then we get the final match of the trilogy here in a casket match. And I like the promo package for this one, too, where it hypes up their history, especially the Hell in a Cell match, and Kane, and very important piece to it.
Playing up how the casket match is the match where it's like, you're in a casket match with The Undertaker, you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I like how in the commentary they did hype up that the one time Taker lost a casket match, it took 10 people to take him down.
And a 600-pound opponent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this casket match, no doubt, probably the best casket match of all time. It was a great match. But time to address the ginormous elephant in the room with this match. 2 minutes in, we get the spot of the match where Taker back body drops Shawn over the ropes to go over the casket, and Shawn gets his ass on the casket, and the back injury that put him on the show where
he happens. I still think he's full of shit on that one.
But
what do I know?
Did have surgery for it, so
he had surgery because of the years of damage he took on his fucking body, and this just happened to be the excuse he needed to get out of there.
And then, but yeah, even I was watching this match back, and I could tell there were a couple of moments after that happened. There were a couple of moments where you could kind of see in his face visibly that he was hurt. So it was only a couple of times he was trying to remain professional and try and keep going with the selling and everything. And as Shawn explained in his documentary in 2007, that the next day after the match, he was just like, oh shit, I can't even get up out of bed. What the fuck? And then now we know what happened.
Until WrestleMania.
Yeah, this was his last match until Mania, and to think...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when we get to Mania, we'll talk more about that. I don't want to go into it right now, but yeah, Shawn...
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, spoiler alert. But we get to... but yeah, with this match, great stuff, including some cool casket spots that you didn't see prior. Like them both in there at the same time, and they're fighting to get out who could shut first. The tombstone into the casket, that was really cool. Shawn, as Taker's pulling him like, you come back in here with me.
Always see the highlight packages.
Always.
Yeah, you always see that. And then we get...
They had a great series of matches.
Yeah, they really
tend to
did.
get overshadowed by the two
Mania
They tend to get
matches.
overshadowed by the 2 Mania matches, yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of people considered the Hell in the Cell, the first Hell in the Cell, still the best one as well to this day.
Yeah.
Some people call that the best match in the history of the company.
It's debatable, but that's good. It's
up there.
It's
It's
definitely,
up there.
I would say, top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And then we get to the ending where Triple H and China, as well as the Outlaws and the Boricuas, come out and they're attacking. We're getting almost a repeat of 1994, attacking Taker. Lights go out. Out comes Kane, clears everybody out. It's just him and Taker in the ring. Kane getting ready to do his pyro. No pyro, and boom.
Nothing.
And nothing, and then turns on Taker and then choke slams him in the casket. Shawn shuts the lid, and they're like hightailing out of there. Paul Bearer and Kane lock the casket, and then we get the most other than the back injury with Shawn, the most famous thing about the match, the post-match. Pushing the casket to the stage, pushing the casket up the ramp, and then the pickaxe, gasoline, set it on fire. So, Randy Orton, you should thank Kane for why you're now the biggest arsonist in WWE history, now more than Kane. So, you should thank Kane.
Royal Rumble was always Taker's go-away match for a little while, it seemed. I mean, you had the match with Yoko, you had this match. Where else was it where Taker disappeared? Was it the Rumble in 2004?
No, he wasn't. Yeah. No, he was gone Survivor Series.
They just did the gong at that show.
Yeah, they just did the gong to tease the match with him and Kane at 20.
That's right. Yeah.
But then he returned in 2006 to do the crazy theatrics with Kurt. Holy shit! What the hell is going on? But yeah, so that was the end. And then what you don't see on the network, post the casket burning after Kane and Paul leave, they put the fire out, they open the casket, no Undertaker inside.
Hey, check it out. We got a bot. We got a bot on the Twitch stream.
There we go. He's
nice.
Nice. But anyways, so with that said, overall, despite a couple of missteps, I thought Royal Rumble 98 was a good show. Not a great show, but it was a good show.
Good show. It was a good show.
Solid overall.
Yeah. It's like, hey.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster is what this show was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now on for favorite, least favorite, and sleeper match of the show. I'm going to give favorite match to Shawn versus Taker. Least favorite match, easily the tag title match. And then for the sleeper, I'm going to go with the Intercontinental title match with Rock and Shamrock. Scott?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The tag title and the minis match kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion, as far as But I think it's definitely, for me, Taker, Shawn, best match on the card, and Intercontinental title is a sleeper.
Walt?
I'm with you guys on the best match being Taker and Shawn, worst match being the tag title match. Sleeper, I'm going with the Rumble, because Rumbles are always fun.
Mm-hmm.
And James?
Rumbles are like pizza. Even when they're bad, they're good.
There are two examples where I would disagree, but...
All right, Rumbles are fun.
My favorite was the casket match. My least favorite was the tag title match, and the sleeper was the Royal Rumble match. I've seen a lot of people shit on this Rumble match for whatever reason. It's like, yeah, I know it's not the greatest Rumble match of all time, but it's not one of the worst either.
I've seen far worse.
Oh yeah,
it's like the year later.
It's good, but it's nothing spectacular. Sorry.
Yeah, you want a bad Rumble match? Fast forward a year later and then come back and tell us that this one sucked.
Well, the problem with that one was it focused on just two guys and they dragged it outside.
And believe me, if we ever talk about Royal Rumble 1999, I will rip that match apart without mercy.
There's a reason it's not on our list this month.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't put that. Well, okay, before we continue, I'm going to say it right now, Ricky, since you just said 2015. I would rather watch the 2015 Rumble than the 99 Rumble. Because at least with 2015, you had guys who actually mattered in that match. 99, no one mattered but Austin and McMahon. Enough said. Gonna keep it at that, and there you go.
My most recent episode of From the Vault, I watched probably the most boring Royal Rumble match of all time in 1993. That match was so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Because once Undertaker got eliminated, it's like, okay, let's just roll along to get to Yoko winning.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. But before we get to the extra stuff, what do we got for push job endeavor for this week?
All right. I think pretty much everyone understands how Push Job Endeavor goes now, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. So I got an easy one for you now. Before we started, James actually jokingly said, hey, you can do the 3 Faces of Fear for this. I thought that'd be too easy, but I am picking one of the 3 Faces of Foley. Excuse me, not the 3 Faces of Fear, but I am picking one of the 3 Faces of Foley for this. So for this week's Push Job Endeavor, and everyone out there in the chat, let me know too what you think. The names are Cactus Jack, Ken Shamrock, and Vader.
Ooh. I'm going to say Push Cactus, Job, Shamrock, Endeavor, Vader.
Really? Okay. Good job,
Because
Shamrock.
Vader was about to be on his way out by the summer anyways.
But based on how over he is at the time,
what era are we getting of Vader?
the era that the show is in, you have to go by, the show itself.
Got it, yeah.
January 1998.
Yeah. So I mean, Vader's crazy over. So it's like you want to get rid of him then. That's what I'm saying. What do you think?
Push Vader, Job Cactus, Endeavor Shamrock.
Endeavor Shamrock. Interesting touch there. Okay. And James, what do you think?
Here's one interjection I want to make. Vader was on the way down, but that doesn't mean Vader couldn't perform. Because a year later, like about a year or so later, Vader was in the Tokyo Dome having a killer match with Misawa. So we still could have pulled something out of him.
So I mean, with that, Push Vader, Job Cactus, because Cactus lost, won't hurt him, and then Endeavor Shamrock.
Cactus always lost graciously.
All right, Scott.
Okay. This is kind of a trick question because I would Push Vader, I would Job Shamrock, I would Endeavor Cactus. I didn't say I was endeavoring Dude Love or Mankind.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, even at that, I would have rather had Cactus be a full-time character and getting the world title at some point. That's just me.
And Ricky says he would Job Cactus, Endeavor Ken, and Push Vader. So,
yeah.
I like that.
Said, Vader wasn't done yet. He still had another. How long was he in Noah for? He was in Noah for a
while. Well, 2002 is when Noah started, and he teamed up with Scorpio on the tag titles. So that's 4 years later. And they were solid. Yeah.
World titles in Japan the year after this.
They won the
Triple Crown. He won the Triple Crown champion. And he was still having good matches. Like I said, him and Misawa had a banger in the Tokyo Dome.
Yep. So he's nowhere near done. It's like
I guess the only reason I endeavor Vader. I guess the only reason I endeavor Vader is because he was gonna be gone from the company by the end of the year, and it's like, yeah, he had that feud with Kane, but really after that they just did nothing with him.
Yeah, it was with Bradshaw.
Yeah, he had a brief thing with Bradshaw by this fall, and then after September, you didn't see him ever again, and then he was gone. So
I remember seeing him lose a tug of war to Mark Henry, and I'm like, what the hell?
You would think that Vader would have been a guy that Vince would push.
You would think that.
I think he really wanted to, but Sean being Sean in '96, yeah. Because the people in the chat who may not remember, Vader was supposed to have been the one to take the belt off Sean in '96. Whether it was going to be at SummerSlam or at one point they thought maybe Survivor Series, but then after Vader, quote, beat up Sean, and Sean's like, Vader beat me up, I don't want to wrestle him again. They did what they did at SummerSlam, and then they have Vader lose to Sid at Buried Alive, and then Sid was the one to get the moment.
And Cornette was very vocal about it throughout his entire tenure. That he would make little jabs at Kevin Dunn and Russo and Bruce Pritchard,
Yep, because Vince wanted to call Vader.
Great with Leon, but no, we didn't want to do that now, did we? Because we didn't want our boy toy to get hurt.
Vince wanted to call Vader the Mastodon and just leave him at that. It's like, no, he's fucking Vader. They already know him. They know who he is. It's like fucking Terry Funk. He's not Chainsaw Charlie. It's Terry Funk. We know who he is. Kevin Dunn.
I'm like, why are they calling him Chainsaw Charlie and not? They're not even acting like he's Terry Funk at first.
Yeah. It's just they're trying to like the instant he comes out, and Courtney's already on that story. So same with Cactus Jack. It's like Cactus Jack's going to debut in MSG, and it's like, oh, no one's going to know who Cactus Jack is. Like, you dumb. Of course they're not going to know who he is. They know who he is.
Yeah.
The one thing that sucked about Vader when he first came in is the fact he was hurt. Because he debuted at the Rumble, then he had the spot with Gorilla, and then he did shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is that. So.
And his first WrestleMania was a lousy 6-man tag.
Yeah, I thought that was a good 6-man tag, but not a spot worthy
I'm
for
not
Vader
talking
to
about
have.
like in terms of I mean, like elevated on the card. You think like they would skyrocket him into important matches?
Yeah, maybe. Well, who could he have worked with in a one-on-one?
It was supposed to be him and Yokozuna, but he was still not. They brought him back too early from shoulder surgery.
Yeah,
just because they wanted him on WrestleMania.
Yeah, if you ask me, they should have waited until they got to King of the Ring time to bring Vader back.
That was that 96. That was it was Austin who won.
That was Austin's era. Yeah,
originally Hunter, but we all know what happened with that.
Let's say like none of that ever happened. Vader, that would have been a great time to get Vader elevated again. Was bring him back and then have him go over in the King of the Ring.
Make him be King of the Ring. Yeah, that'd be something.
Or if they wanted to, or
the next month in your house, which would have led up to the title match.
Yeah, or if you wanted to have Vader win King of the Ring, maybe in '97, and it could have revitalized Vader. But I still like that '97 tournament. It's still one of those, like, what the hell was supposed to happen? Like, of course, I have my theories that it was probably going to be Ahmed Johnson had Vader not gotten injured. I think it was probably going to be Ahmed, considering what happened at the end of the night and what it led up to with Ahmed joining the nation. But then, because Ahmed's made out of fucking glass, Ahmed, you were not pushed because you were made of glass, not because you were black. But anyways, I digress with that.
Say what you really feel about him, man.
I know, man. He always holds back on that.
Okay, I'm going to do it now. Okay, I'm going to do it. Ahmed Johnson, I did a video on you 2 years ago after I saw an article about you talking on a podcast or whatever. You thinking that Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin were the reasons you didn't get pushed to be a world champion because you thought one of them painted or scratched the N-word on your car. Oh, fuck off. Well, Shawn at the time, I wouldn't put it past Shawn to do something like that back then, because he fucking was crazy back then. But Austin, fuck no. Fuck no. And like I said, Ahmed, the reason you were not pushed is for 2 reasons. 1, you couldn't cut a fucking promo to save your life. All it was, I'm gonna beat your ass. And
you're going down.
And you couldn't last more than like 5 months in the ring before you get hurt. So yeah, Ahmed, go fuck yourself.
So
even though you could probably tear my head off, I bet you'd break your kneecap trying. So, yeah. But anyways.
Send your hate tweet at ThrashManiac99.
Thank you very much, yes.
Hey, if any Ahmed fanboys want to come at me for it, just realize I'm only speaking truth here. So, there you go. Anyways, though, time to answer some questions. Let me go back through the scroll and see if I missed any earlier. Ricky was asking, speaking of watching, have I seen WandaVision? Yes, I have. Twice, and I'm liking it so far. Even though they just started it, and we still got 7 more episodes to come, it's already looking really chaotic.
Now, Ricky also mentioned, and we were talking about this before we went live, is that WWE has announced WrestleMania.
Yep.
For the next couple of years, the locations. So read that back to us again. It's
Dallas next year, and then LA the year after.
Okay.
In Tampa this year, and it's going to be 2 nights again.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep, I like it too.
Yep.
Yeah, I really thought WrestleMania was good last year, doing 2 nights.
You have 2 3-hour shows.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's much easier to watch.
Easier to watch, and it helps get everybody on the card and do the proper ends to all the feuds you're doing.
Right.
Instead of leaving some on the cutting room floor.
The 2 world title matches will actually matter because you have one on one night, one on the other night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, earlier Arthur said beat down Fu in the casket match. Yeah, that should be a last minute foo. Ricky says also Goldust looking like a fat version of Chessman on this show. Yeah, I guess. Oh no, that was at one point. He had like chess patterns on his face. Now I got you. What else was there from earlier? Oh, not much. Ricky saying now I gotta start saving money for Mania next year. Yeah, because it's in his backyard of Texas. So I'm still holding out for WrestleMania to come to Indianapolis in the future. So much.
Now I wonder what they've already announced for this year, next year, and the year after. I wonder what they're going to be doing for 40.
Yeah, that's going to be a question.
Honestly, even though it will not happen, but I wish they would go back to MSG for a WrestleMania again.
Yeah, they won't do that.
Won't happen.
Charge an obscene amount of money.
They'll go to MetLife.
They'll probably go to MetLife again.
MetLife in late March, early April.
Yeah, probably.
Also, if you listen to Jericho's podcast, how much of a pain in the ass it is to do a show at the Garden.
But yeah, what other locations could they do?
I'm rocking the Brody Lee t-shirt tonight. WWE Network has produced a whole anthology of John Huber, Luke Harper, Brody Lee stuff. It's about 3.5 hours. I'm about 2.5 into it, so it's really good, focusing a lot on his biggest matches in the company, him and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title on Raw, and their ladder match. It's got the Wyatts against the Shield.
Well, let me ask if this one match is the match with him and Orton at Elimination Chamber 2017 on there. Thank God, because that was an awesome match.
Yes. And also on top of that, with that note, can the internet fans, and the people at What Culture shut up the pissing contest between whether WWE did enough to honor John as opposed to what AEW did? It's annoying, really. Oh, WWE they don't respect their previous workers. He's gone. They don't care. They certainly did care. This guy just recently left the company, and he had a lot of friends who worked in the company, and it hit everyone. I'm just tired of the pissing contest. Even Amanda Huber said, "Shut up, knock it off, run it out."
Yes, What Culture? You're a bunch of whiny fucking internet marks. Shut the fuck up. Nobody likes you.
All What Culture focuses on now is just the negativity towards WWE.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and what's funny, they became that after their good personalities were gone. Blampier, Ross, Pacitti, Jack the Jobber. After they were gone, they've been terrible ever since.
Yeah, let's just be a bitch fest.
3 years.
It's always like 10 times when WWE really dropped the ball, blah, blah, blah. 10 times when they gave somebody a manager and it didn't work out. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, they have nothing better to do with their lives.
Yeah, why don't you talk, if you don't like WWE, why don't you put more focus on the stuff that you guys do like then? Okay?
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, it's embarrassing. Wrestle Kingdom just happened and it was a great show, but they would rather bitch about Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
$1 billion and start your own company.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And see how bad it would suck. And then you will be lambasted on the internet for the shit that you book. So enjoy yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Tell us how you're really
the wrestling fan is a unique creature. It's a very unique creature.
Which is why I don't cover modern day pro wrestling. I stick with the old stuff.
Same here.
Good call. Yep.
Especially that's one of the reasons why we started this show, because I mean, that, and also, like I pointed out, I have not watched a whole pay-per-view or an episode of anything since March, because it's like, it's weird without fans there, without a lot of fans. It doesn't feel like wrestling, and until they can get a full capacity audience again, I'm not going to cover it on my channel. But once they do, I will be back. Don't worry. But
well, I still watch the modern product. I still find
I keep up with it, and I watch the highlights.
That's it.
And I'll watch.
And if I see, and every so often I'll watch one of the in between pay-per-views only if it interests me. And if it doesn't, I don't bother with it.
This is my take on it. I mean, I usually don't watch Raw and SmackDown. I usually catch the recaps. The only time, and if there's something worth the while, then I'll go back and watch the whole match, like the Nakamura Gauntlet match. That I piqued my interest and I caught that. Also, when anything involving Roman Reigns or Jey Uso, I will pay close attention to. I do watch regular episodes of AEW. I do watch regular episodes of NXT. I do watch regular episodes of NXT UK. I mean, Jesus, Walter and A-Kid this past week. Holy cow. Walter's awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
Not because he has my name, but
Yeah.
I can watch that. That dude is a old school classic badass hoss. Like Vader, like Brock Lesnar, like Stan Hansen. He brings it. I'd love to see him on the main roster.
Oh yeah,
and headlining bigger shows. You know,
me too.
Just hope Vince doesn't fuck him up.
Yeah, well, the fact.
Well, he
right
kind
now,
of technically, he sort of fucked him up in that Rumble Survivor Series 2019 by having him be the first one eliminated. Really, that made no sense at all.
I wouldn't say it hurt him that much.
Nobody cares because he's in UK right now. He's having killer matches. He's carrying that brand.
Exactly.
He's where he needs to be right now. He's exactly.
I also think a lot of it is a miscommunication of information. Like the whole thing with Keith Lee being sent to the Performance Center. Like, he's punishing him. He's not. Yeah, Otis is like, we all want to do better, and that's what it was. It was voluntary. You know,
no house shows. How the hell are you supposed to get better?
Exactly. No house shows, and Vince basically told the guys, "Look, the Performance Center is a tool." And he said to Keith Lee, "You're on a new tier now. You're on a new plane of performance. So we want, and Vince likes Keith Lee. I don't know where everybody's getting this whole Vince wants to bury him. I don't get it. You know, how about Ricochet? Oh, Ricochet should be leaving soon. And he's like, I'm signed till 2024. You assholes.
Yeah, guys, I'm here. I'm making money. I'm doing my job.
He's stuck there now. Oh,
It goes right back.
Creative freedom.
It goes right back to what James was saying earlier, and what I was thinking too, watching the Rumble, having Mick Foley have 3 spots, and if that happened nowadays, somebody be bitching on Twitter about, he just took 2 other spots away from somebody else. So-and-so should have been the Rumble, but because they had to put all 3 in Mick Foley's, all that shit.
And you know something?
Live in a miserable, just bitch about everything and keep watching it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of freaking wrestling world we have now.
You know what's funny?
I hated this week. I hated the pay-per-view, and I can't wait to watch next week so I can hate it again.
And
I need content for my YouTube channel.
And you know what's funny? I bet you if Bray Wyatt did something like that this year, the fans would love it. Like Swamp, or like Husky Harris, Old School Bray, and The Fiend. Imagine if that came out. If they all came out, they would love it, and it'd be like
4 faces to Bray Wyatt.
If AEW did that with one of their guys, like if Jericho came out as Lionheart Chris Jericho, and then Y2J Chris Jericho, and then now Inner Circle Chris Jericho, they'd freaking love it. Yeah. It'll be totally fine. Everything will be cool.
It's one of their favorites.
Yep. Always.
Yeah.
So that's why, if you just get to a point where you just watch wrestling and just shut the fuck up and just sit back and enjoy it, you might actually enjoy it. Instead of thinking like, I have to bitch about something on Twitter tonight so I can get over. Yes, Ricky, we are sad too. They did not go with your plan for Reigns and Adam Pearce because we pretty much all booked the finish for that match on your comment last week that it was going to be Adam Pearce against Roman Reigns for the title. Miz was going to come out, cash in, beat Pearce, and win the title. And that I mean, who knows? Something could happen still.
Yeah, maybe they could switch things up again. But yeah.
Now, what about because he also mentioned that Daniel Bryan had a kick-ass match with Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan had a kick-ass match with Shinsuke. Any chances they're going to form a little faction with these guys? Shinsuke, Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan. And maybe throw someone else like Drew Gulak in there.
That'd be a great stable.
Have a new 4-man, kind of faction going on.
Good, pure wrestling stable. I mean, you got guys like, you got Daniel who could cut the promo, and you got Shinsuke and Cesaro. Shinsuke and Cesaro, I mean, they're not big promo guys, but they both have a lot of good chemistry, and and look at
and Gulak could cut the promo.
Gulak
he's one of the best all-around guys.
Yep.
One of the best all-around guys.
I'd say make that faction a thing.
I could see the final 3 of the Royal Rumble match being Bryan, Cesaro, Nakamura.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's the thing. Everyone pissing him out. Cesaro's not getting a fair shake. Patience. Look at Kofi Kingston.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
11 years.
I could really see Nakamura being the Iron Man, Cesaro eliminating the most guys, and Bryan potentially winning. Although I would not be surprised if they pulled the trigger on Nakamura winning again.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Look at Sting. Take Sting or Lex Luger, for example. How long did it take before the world title was on those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Sting had the match with Ric Flair in March of 1988, and the Clash match. Yeah. He didn't get the belt till 1990.
Over 2 years. Over 2
2 years. Lex Luger even longer.
Yep.
Lex Luger didn't get the WCW World Title till July of '91, and it was a fluke too.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim Hurd.
Yeah,
fans just don't have patience.
Luger was supposed to beat Flair that night, anyways. From what I gathered.
Yeah, fans don't have patience anymore, and it sucks. And that's also another reason why, like, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and I feel that's
Look at CM Punk. Look at CM Punk. How long it took for him to get before we got the big year-long title reign. It took a few years.
Yeah, I was about to say, and that's
even
actually
ROH. It took him a long time to get the ROH title.
That's true.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, and you just brought up a good example of CM Punk having a long title reign, and I feel modern fans can't appreciate long title reigns. Like, let me put it to you guys. Yeah, let me put it to you guys in the comments right now. Would you rather have a guy win world titles over and over and over, or would you want to have somebody with a standalone long reign that means something?
Mm-hmm.
I would take the latter because it helps build that guy up, builds the belt up, and you could do a whole lot with it. I mean, hell, Drew, before he dropped it to Orton at Hell in a Cell, even though I didn't watch much of the stuff, I will say, really good title reign. Had some really damn good matches against guys like Lashley, of all people, and so many others. Good matches with Orton.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, there's some title reigns in like bigger, or not bigger, but prestigious companies like New Japan Pro Wrestling that fell flat. Remember when Tenzan finally won the IWGP title? He was going to be the face of the company. He was going to be the guy bringing them to the new generation. He gets the belt, and they took it pretty much right off him, almost immediately.
Yep.
Evil.
Yeah, evil, for fuck's sake. Thought he was going to be his time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jay White. I barely remember any of Jay White's reigns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it also has a lot to do.
That was really an early example. They pushed for years to get the belt on him and kept pushing him back, and they finally put it on him, and it meant nothing.
It's also depending upon the roster you have. When Hogan had the title for a long reign in the 80s, it was positioned to have Hogan as the big top babyface against whatever indomitable monster they could find. Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Earthquake, the big guys. So that formula worked for as long as they could do it. And, like I said, it did work. It made a lot of money for the company. Nowadays, they don't think that way. There is no structuring like that. The term I heard was narrow focus. Back in those days, you narrow focused on Bruno Sammartino, Superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, and so forth and so on. Steve Austin, The Rock, and everything. But now there's such a huge breadth of talent, it's hard to narrow focus when you've got all that talent out there. So that's how it changes the mentality of the office to say, all right, we're going to give this guy a run with the belt for 6 months. Then we're going to put on this guy, give it for 9 months. While we're doing that, we're going to build this guy and give him a year-long run. And then while he's doing that, we can build this guy and this guy and this guy, and eventually have the next crop of top contenders to work with. Because that's how you're supposed to book wrestling. It's like, you got to plan this stuff out. And trust me, I know this, having to do it. Actually do it on the independents. It's like, okay, this is going to be our guy for now, but I got to build at least 2 other guys on the back end, because one's going to take the belt from him, and then this one's going to take the belt from him. But while I do that, I got to build another guy to take the belt off him. It's that constant cycle. And because nowadays there is no way to make a living on the independents, really, especially nowadays, you can't like do the territory thing where you have a guy come in and he runs, through everybody on your roster. He becomes champion, and then you feed a couple of wrestlers for him to work with and program him with, and then you build up the next star to take the belt off, and then he goes away. It's not how independent wrestling works now. Just like the same guys will stay there over and over and over again because they may have homesteaded it. It might be close. They make good money there, or for whatever reason. So it's a complete change, a 180 in the wrestling mentality now, booking wise. And that's what happens with WWE now. There's nothing to narrow focus on. Yeah, it's the Roman Reigns era, but it's also the Drew McIntyre era too at the same time, because there's two titles. Mm-hmm. But there's also Randy Orton, but there's also The Fiend, but there's also this guy and this guy. And there's NXT too. There's Finn Balor. There's, they're doing a lot of push with Kyle O'Reilly right now. And then there's Adam Cole still there, and Keith Lee's on the rise. So it's really hard to do the single guy with the long reign now because of the breadth of talent you have. It's not a bad thing. It's a hell of a bad situation to find yourself in. Trust me, I'd love to be in that kind of position.
Yeah, and also I think another reason why a lot of people got turned off and especially in like the last 15 years of why people get turned off with long title reigns, John Cena.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Cena haters were just so tired of Cena having the belt for over a year during that September 06 or October 07 run. It's like, can we put the belt on somebody else already? Granted, there were, but then again, during that run, who the fuck was going to take the belt off of him? Not Bobby Lashley, because he was bland at the time. Really, the only guy towards the end of his reign that would have taken the belt off of him would have been Orton, because he was going on this phenomenal Age of Orton run with the punt and the DDT.
Could have had Shawn have a short run with it.
Could have. You could have had Shawn get it.
The belt.
Which
Shawn didn't want the belt.
Yeah, which goes to show you how selfless Shawn became at the time. Total 180, where 10 years before, he would have wanted the belt on him all times. 10 years later, he's like, I don't need the belt. Let's let somebody else have it. Total 180.
He didn't even want the belt in 2002, and they just gave it to him because.
Because of a feel-good moment, which worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just goes to show you the evolution of not only Shawn Michaels, the character, but the person. Like, in the 90s, selfish, did not care about anybody but his friends, wanted the belt on him always. Then you fast forward about 5 years later into the 2000s. Like, I'll work with this guy, I'll do something good with him. I don't need to I'll keep it on him, he's doing good with it. So, total 180, and that's amazing.
Yep.
Hell, even back in the day when it's like, oh, the only person he cared about was him and his friends. Quite frankly, he only cared about himself. See WrestleMania 11 when we talk about it.
Yeah. Oh boy. But but yeah. So yeah, I do feel partially because when they had it on Cena for, I think that was his third reign with the title, when he had it for over a year.
Once you have it 10 times, you might as well have had it 100.
Yeah. Yeah, and like with Cena, it's like, I go back to that run, like, yeah, he wins it back from Edge in the TLC match at Unforgiven. And, by the way, guys ever notice that when Cena nowadays, when he does the STF, he doesn't do it correctly? He just straightens his arms and makes it look
he's never done it right.
Well, he has done it right a few times, especially to Rusev. Like one time with the ring rope wrapped around his face, that looked bad. I think I have a theory as to why he doesn't do it the correct way. Rewind back to that TLC match with Edge. When he had him in the ladder doing it, he legitimately knocked Edge out, and he was like, oh, shit. So I feel like after that, he's like...
Too big.
Yeah, his arms were too big, and the ladder, and you could see Edge's face like... Then he went again. He was legitimately in La La Land until he got hit in the face with the ladder, and then he's like, okay, I'm back. I feel like because of that, why you don't see Cena really do it correctly is because he's afraid of legitimately hurting somebody.
That's a good point, yeah.
So... I mean, he done it a couple times correctly, mostly on Rusev for whatever reason, but other than that, you just see him straighten his arms and all that. But I just wanted to make that point real quick. But you go back to that run. Yeah, after he won it from Edge, he didn't really do anything in the later in 2006. He was going back and forth between Raw and SmackDown because he was doing this angle where he's teaming with Batista against King Booker and his army of Regal and Finlay. It wasn't until you get to the feud with Umaga where his title reign really felt like a title reign.
Or he lost to Kevin Federline on Monday Night Raw.
Fucking hell. That was so bad.
How sad. How hilariously sad.
But then you get to that Umaga feud, and it's like, people want to go back and say, Umaga should have won it. I look back, if you'd put the belt on Umaga, what do you do after that? Who do you have take the belt off of him?
What's next?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question you always have to ask yourself. Kevin Sullivan said to Terry Taylor, who said in an interview one time, don't book a match unless you can book the match, the return, and book the match, the finish, and the return. Okay, you booked the match, you got the finish, you got the belt on. What do you do now? It's like that's always been my thing with the infamous Sting versus Undertaker thing that all these people were clamoring for. My question always was, who goes over?
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't make sense to put anybody over. That's why you put them as a tag team. So.
Yeah,
I think Sting versus Muta would have been a better idea, and Muta would have had no problems putting Taker over.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you see, like, here's the spot. Undertaker goes for the choke slam, picks him up, missed. Boom, as he's coming down. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, place would have been fucking
great.
Crazy.
Yep. And that would have been a spot like on Raw, like in the Rumble. There would have been a spot in the Rumble to do that, and that would kickstart the feud.
Yep.
To lead up over the next few weeks.
The finish, Muta goes for the Shining Wizard. Taker catches him as he jumps on his leg, puts him in the Hell's Gate submission.
Or they could have done what they did.
No, he's got him in the Hell's Gate submission. Missed.
Or they do what they did with Shawn Taker and just moonsault, catch, tombstone.
Yep.
Yeah.
That Muta's kind of weird about that moonsault. Here's one thing I noticed about Muta. When that moonsault hits, nobody kicks out. You notice that?
That's true. Yeah, that was a finish. That was a finisher.
What's that?
Because it was a finish.
They can roll out of the way and evade it, but nobody, if it hits, nobody's kicking out.
Nope.
Except for like Chono, maybe.
Yeah, and that's a very rare thing back then.
Or Hashimoto, or somebody in his crew, in his entourage.
Back in the day when finishing moves,
anyone kicking out of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, back
like
when finishers were actually finishers and not just spammed.
Yeah,
that's another problem.
I think that would have worked.
Yeah, that's another problem in modern wrestling. People using their finishers too much.
I heard from Scott Hall that he never hit the razor's edge if he wasn't going over.
Right.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever kicked out of the razor's edge.
Jake Roberts, DDT, that was it.
Unless you're Kevin Landry, or not Kevin Landry, Kevin Northcutt.
Kevin
Northcutt.
Yes, that deal. There was politics in that. We know about that story.
There was politics in that one.
But the point being, in that time frame, in the 80s into the 90s, DDT was it. You did not kick out. That made it a finisher. That made it.
It was only until he was leaving the territory, Undertaker sat up twice.
Right, exactly. And he has to do the
idea.
When Randy Savage was retiring, Warrior got up after 5 elbow drops.
Yep.
Is this my destiny?
Put over the story, Gorilla.
Yeah, I know. I can think back in those days, the only people to kick out of Savage's elbow drops were Warrior, Hogan, and strangely enough, George Steele at WrestleMania 2.
That's right.
Right, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because George didn't sell, so why should he?
Did you say Steamboat? Did Steamboat kick out of it at 3?
No.
Okay.
No.
Savage was going for it, and that's when George pushed him off.
That's when George pushed him off, and yep.
And I think the bell hit Savage himself.
Inside cradle, 1, 2, 3.
It's over!
That's match history.
My dad and I jumped out of our seats when Steamboat won, and my sister started crying and screaming, "Shut up!" Because he was like
poor Dave Hebner in that match was blown to shit. He is sweating. He's like at the 20. There was like 33 false finishes in that match. Yeah. I think I counted them one time, and it's around that. And you see him like 25. He is like struggling to get up.
Savage wrote that match move for move,
and they would meet up
in the parking lot at the house shows. Yep.
They would meet each other at the hotel. Like, okay, I'm on move 54. Tell me the rest of the match. 55 is this. 56 is this. 57 is that, and just bang, 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 bang. Yeah. crazy.
Yeah, then again, Savage was all about planning his matches ahead of time.
Mhm.
Savage was very articulate.
DDP as well. DDP 2 was another
Nothing
one.
wrong with that.
I mean,
either.
hell,
No, really.
I mean, hell, funny. Going back to the story segment where we talk about the story time stuff. That reminds me of an episode of Storytime where Mick Foley tells a story about hanging out with DDP back when they were in WCW together and talking about like all the habits DDP had. He's like, DDP always had this bag of gimmicks. Like he was like from Gilligan's Island or whatever, bringing like so many bags with him. And he insisted on recording his matches on a VCR camera and watched them while he drove. And anytime they were on the highway, DB's like, bro, come on, hold the wheel. Well, Dallas, why don't you pull over and let me... Come on, bro, just hold the wheel. He'd be watching his matches while driving because he wanted to see what he could work on as far as improvements. But still, oh dear, that could have been deadly.
Uh-huh. And that, too, is a different mentality for that came along the business because... guys in the 70s and 80s, nobody freaking talked their shit out. Move for move. You just went in the ring and freaking did it. It was simple as that. You didn't have to do that. Then once we got into the era of, well, I do this and I do that. All right, I have to sell this properly. So how do I get into this and blah, blah, blah. Then we got to do that. And then you get the dichotomy. You had DDP and Macho Man who like to plan out their matches. Then you had Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Benoit, Jericho, like, let's just go out there and do it, and we'll figure it out on the fly. And sometimes you have matches where it's just like, all right, we're going to start with this. Here's our finish. We'll fill it out in the ring. See you out there.
Yeah, which I usually think that formula works the best because, yeah, you can have your start planned out well and the finish planned out well, but what do you do in between?
My very last match I ever had, I wrestled this guy named Matt Roddy, and I'd had several matches with Matt, so we knew each other. We were comfortable with each other in the ring. And I didn't tell anybody it was going to be my last match, too. And so I went to him. I said, anytime I grab you in the side headlock, I'm going for a DDT. You try to get out of it. Every time you go for this cutter, I'm trying to get out of it. And here's the finish. Okay, that was it. And we went out there and did 10, 15 minutes and had a good match, and put him over in the end. He hits me. I go for the DDT. He swings out, diamond cutters me, 1, 2, 3. And that was it. And it worked out fine. It was. I've done.
Matt Roddy again.
Oh man, I miss Matt.
Western World needs him again.
Oh, Lindsay
Yes,
just said, "Yeah, asshole."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, babe. She announced me to the ring that night too. So I didn't tell anybody Lindsay was my last match because I didn't want that stereotypical retirement speech bullshit and everybody around the ring and yeah. Please.
For a proper send off, dude. All I gotta do is call Mike King, and we get Max Burton appreciation night. It will. All I gotta do is call Mike.
No, you know what was going to happen? You know what they want to do? The roast of Max Burton. That's what they wanted to do.
Oh boy.
That's what Vigo and all those guys wanted to do. I was like, not happening.
The roast of Max Burton.
Yeah, but Matt is a hell of a worker. Yes, he is. Yeah, one of the best.
Yeah, great
talker, great worker.
Yep.
I wish he was still doing it, but he's down in Florida now. He's working for Disney. He's happy, and I don't mean Disney. Like I mean working for Disney World. He works at Disney World. So
he carried guys that we thought were not carryable.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, great matches.
Certain wolves. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yes.
Back to John Cena. I don't know why. I just feel like talking about John Cena tonight, but. That brings up a question.
Feel a lot of love for John? Big match, John.
Big match, John.
But that brings up a big question that I have, not only for everybody in here, but for the people in the chat. Would you say, of the past 20 years, John Cena was the most underrated in-ring performer of the last 20 years?
Not underrated because he was world champion and main eventer.
He's a top 5 performer in my opinion.
He's a top guy, so he's not underrated at all.
I guess what I mean by underrated performer, I'm meaning like as in the ring, not so much about accomplishments.
No, he's unorthodox, but a lot of wrestlers were unorthodox. So
I think John's very basic, actually.
Very basic.
Anything got better as the years went on.
Look at the talent they had him working with. He goes from working with Eddie Guerrero to working with, the Big Show. Yes, the Big Show. You can learn from working with the Big Show. To Kurt Angle, to Brock Lesnar, to Randy Orton, to Shawn Michaels, to Angle again, to Triple H, to everybody, and to the Undertaker or whatever. And just he learned from everybody. He was solid in the ring, consistent. 5 moves of doom. Please.
That was the point I was making.
Yes. Were they bitching about Hogan back in the day? Oh man, big boot leg drop. No, they did that later on. But it was just like when he was
Bret
over.
Hart had side Russian leg sweep and the elbow off Bret's rope and
sidewalk backbreaker.
Right.
And
sharpshooter.
Who else had 5 moves? Dusty Rhodes.
He had 1 elbow drop.
Really?
Ric Flair has chop and figure 4. That's it.
And a vertical suplex sometimes.
Maybe.
And
or back suplex.
Jumping nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't think
5 moves.
Yeah.
John Cena, and to me, is one of my top 5 guys in the past 20 years.
I think John Cena's on the freaking Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I really do think he is.
I mean, I guess the reason I brought this question up is because, with how the internet is and how they always want to take jabs at John for being a quote, not a good wrestler, he can only do 5 moves.
They can do better.
I don't understand the proper criteria of what makes a good worker.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, having a vast, extensive moveset is not a primary proficiency.
Yeah, you don't need to be a technical wizard to be a great wrestler.
Yeah.
You don't
need to have 500
You don't need to
variations
have
of
1,000 holds to be a great wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How about guys who are overrated? Let's start right at the top. Kenny Omega. I'll do it.
There you
I'll
go. There you go.
Kenny's way overrated. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's
granted, Kenny Omega doesn't suck, but I don't put him on my Mount Rushmore.
And
No
you
way.
and you want to know proof why John Cena is a great wrestler at the end? One example. He managed to get an enjoyable match out of the fucking Great Khali. If you can get an enjoyable match out of that guy, you're great in my book.
Ali's two
Great match out of Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, we were talking about the Umaga matches. Those matches were fucking great.
yeah, the last man standing match at the
awesome.
Royal Rumble 07 was amazing. One of the best, arguably the second best last man standing match of all time behind Jericho Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
That match was amazing. It was bloody. It was down and dirty. Yeah, people always say Cena can only have good matches with guys like Punk and Bryan. Look at the Umaga matches, for God's sakes. The match he had with Mark Henry
a few years ago.
Yeah, and look at the match he had with Mark Henry at Money in the Bank 2013. That was great.
It was a great match.
Granted, looking back, they should have given the belt to Mark Henry, at least for one night, to capitalize on that fake retirement promo. But
I was there for that.
yeah, if they had, that's the only complaint I have with that. They should have given the belt to Mark Henry for at least one night to pay that off. But then again, in the end, Cena would have been a 17-time world champion, all things considered, even though it's not breaking the record. Flair's a 26-time champion. Let's get that right. But anyways. But yeah, I just feel... I always felt Cena was underrated just based on the fact that so many people just hate him and don't want to give him credit. Hell, another example of why Cena is better than a lot of people think. Look back, 2008. People kept on complaining that, oh, Cena and Batista, they're the worst workers in the company. You put them together at SummerSlam 2008, they put on an amazing match despite the finish. With Cena and his neck.
I still can't even wrap that around my head, though, that sort of statement. I can't.
Because people just don't get it.
People don't get that.
You know what?
Bret Hart can't work.
What we need to do, us here, because we're smarter than the average bear when it comes to pro wrestling, and as our people in the comments section are, because you're that cool. We have to try to stop educating people about this because they're never going to learn. They don't want to learn, and that's why they're fans, and we're all not.
We're fighting about politics. Nobody's going to change their mind.
Nobody's going to change their mind. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's complete, cognitive dissonance when it comes to, no, this is the way it is, and that's the way it is. All right, fine, be that way. Fuck you. So.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. Since I said Cena would be in a top 5 for me over from 2000 to 2021, who would be the other 4?
Brian, I think, would have to be one.
Brian's up there. Punk's up there.
Punk, Rock.
Rock. Yeah, I mean, you're going 2000 to 2021. I mean, yeah, Rock is up there. Brock Lesnar.
Angle. Absolutely. Kurt should be there.
AJ,
yes.
You got a lot of talent.
Got some workers from Japan. Would you put Okada or Tanahashi or Nakamura in there?
Yeah, Tanahashi
and
absolutely.
Nakamura, yes.
Yep.
What about Okada?
Not so much in the 2000s.
I haven't seen enough of Okada to really judge.
I'd say Kenta probably because he had a huge run.
Kenta Kobashi.
Kenta Kobashi too.
Kobashi after that, coming back from what was it? What did it call about? Brain cancer?
Brain cancer, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just and Lindsay, no, it's not anyone can work if given the right chance, aka Rick and Rocket. It's anyone can get over in the right chance. There's a difference. as I love Adam, but let's face facts here. He was not a great worker, but he was way over. And you don't have to be a great worker to be over, because sometimes being over is more important than being a great worker.
Look at the Sandman.
Rob Van Dam.
Not the best wrestler, but he was so over.
Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of people said Sandman was the worst worker, if you would, in ECW, but he was one of the most over guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sabu is not known for being a great worker. I'm sorry, he's not, but he's crazy over. He put guys through tables. He put himself through tables. He was an attraction. That's what got him over, and that is more important to be a great worker. Same deal with Cena, with the whole 5 moves of doom thing. You don't want to see as a great worker, you don't understand what working is, but he was over.
And most importantly, one of the best modern day talkers. Granted, he does get corny a lot of the times with the kids stuff, but when you get him in the right storyline and the right angle, hard to beat him on the mic.
When he was in OVW, Jim Cornette called him the new era Ric Flair.
Yeah, because I watched back his stuff as the prototype. Some of the funniest stuff ever, like where he would rewind and say the promo again. It's just to prove we're bigger than you, we're better than you, and we deserve to be the tag team champions. Oh, you didn't get that? Let me rewind it for you. Because we're bigger than you. I loved watching that on the John Cena DVD, the My Life DVD, where they showed his OVW stuff. I was like, oh my god. If only they would have let him do that gimmick for one night, I think that would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, he did one time do the rewind thing during the Thugonomics era, but it was only one time. He should have done it more often. I think he would have got even more over with that, because that was so funny.
And just getting back to the thing about... Well, one last thing, too, about getting back to the, it's always been better to be more over than be a great worker, because you had like I said, you had the Sabus of the world, or the Abdullah the Butchers. Sold tickets, not a great worker, but he sold tickets, and a lot of those guys lived in that era. Modern day, like Boogeyman. I fucking love Boogie. He's awesome. He's a great guy, gives great hugs. Not a great worker.
I just bought a couple of shirts for my kids, and they picked out shirts. My daughter picked out another Bailey shirt. My son, and she's getting the Brody shirt too. My son picked out Boogeyman and Kamala, and that shows you right there the impression,
the impact.
And these are guys who were wrestling before he was born.
Mm-hmm.
But that shows you the impression that those guys, they're not exactly, neither one were wrestling wizards, not even close.
Yeah,
but the character and the ability to draw tickets and such.
Those are the ones that, are not about, well, I can do this, so I have to do it every night. It's guys that say, yeah, I can do that, but that doesn't make me money. That doesn't get me over. I'm going to do this instead.
Yeah. What a concept. Hogan could do a lot of shit, but it's like, I don't have to do it here in America.
Nope.
Yeah, in Japan, he could fucking work.
Right.
Well, that's because he adapted to the style that it was called over there.
Remember who he was trained by? He was trained by Hiro Matsuda.
Hiro Matsuda.
He was trained by Matsuda as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
you don't get out of Matsuda's training with little knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sky, I gotta intervene. I gotta interject with this really quick. When you brought up Rickety Rocket, you know what? I know you said it was about selling tickets. So speaking of Al Snow, when you bring up Rickety Rocket, whenever I think of Rickety Rocket, I think of that story Al Snow told about Dewey Brown, the tag match.
Yes.
oh boy.
Yep. We're talking about a guy that I used to we know that was in our circle there that I used to book on my shows. He's a good kid, real good kid, and great referee. And but he was he's very small. He's very skinny, but he would go out and he just had so much heart, and he would get beat up, and he would just get over because he would just sell so good. He wore a mask and all that stuff, and he was fun. You know, he's a good guy. He's a real good guy.
He is.
And Adam is his name, and Adam's great. I got love for Adam eternally. So, but he wasn't a great worker, you know, and he tried. He really tried. And I had to pull him aside a few times and say, you got to work on this and this and this. And sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. But he was getting over, and that's all you care about.
Getting over. People were popping for the Rocket.
They loved it. Pocket Rocket.
Oh boy,
that's right.
Well, yeah, when I think of him, I think of that story Al Snow told, but that's
Pour Diet Pepsi on him.
But real quick, speaking of Cena being funny on the mic, I was watching earlier an old episode of SmackDown from 2004, and this remember Kenzo Suzuki? That was a thing.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah,
name.
That's a name. Yeah, I watched him come
going.
out. Watch him come out and interrupt a promo that Kenzo was doing in Japanese, and he's like, "I am fluent in Japanese," and he's trying to quote translate it. He gets to Heroku. Yeah, you're hermaphrodite proctologist, Heroku. I think we're gonna go. Me and Heroku are going on a date. We're gonna go see the movie White Chicks. Her face is painted white every night. Oh.
that's his life wife too.
Oh.
He was married to her.
Oh,
Speaking of Cena, he showed they had a little commercial announcing the WrestleManias.
yep.
He's in it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. It looked funny because I saw in the preview Triple H with a fucking wig. And Stephanie in the studio doing like a news report, Triple H with glasses and a wig. I'm like, that's gotta be something funny. I gotta watch
Triple
that
H is a
after this.
funny guy. Triple H
He
is.
He really is.
You can't be afraid to make fun of yourself. And he can be the badass cerebral assassin, all this stuff,
But
but he
he
doesn't
ain't
mind being
afraid.
goofy.
Yeah, he ain't afraid to get funny and even make fun of himself. Like
When they fired McFoley and they were doing like the like he was what was it? Oh, I am Han Lo. Nice to meet you. Doing that whole shtick and just doing like trying to interview Mankind for a job and then just like just being goofy.
and
You know, I wish I was a fly. I wish I was a fly. Scott, you know the story about Triple H and my dad, right? I think I told you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Triple H. My dad was a district manager, union manager for the elevator union out in Boston, and one of his workers was good friends with Triple H, and Triple H would meet up with him at the office to go to the gym. And sometimes if he was running late, he'd go there and hang out. This was actually when Triple H was in the company too. He would go and hang out with my dad. He'd go into the office and sit down and chat with and they bust each other's balls. And I always ask my dad, like, what do you guys talk about? He's like, oh, he's a nice young man. He was a nice young man. But I could see Triple H busting my dad's chops though.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was a nice man. Nice guy. Nice kid.
But what's funny back with Triple H, now that brings up the question, what do you think was the funniest thing he did in a segment or in a promo? There are quite a few. If I had to choose one, he and Sean impersonating Shane and Vince.
That was good.
That was awesome. People want to
I was
complain.
just watching that actually
People
last
want to
weekend.
complain. People want to complain that the 2006 DX sucked. It was so funny watching
The
back.
barbecue.
The
hot
barbecue
dog
4th of July. That
thing.
was probably the best night for DX ever, as far as
DX
comedy.
on USA Network in '98.
Mhm. Yes.
It was like right after the '98 Rumble.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was brilliant.
I like the DX split, but that had nothing to do with Hunter.
China.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
actually watched that episode of Raw the other night when that happened. But yeah, when he and Sean impersonated Vincent Shade, That was one of the I don't think I did, but I want to say that that was one of the few moments in wrestling that literally made me piss myself laughing. Because especially oh, go ahead.
When they mocked the nation, that was a good one.
And they mocked the corporation as well.
Yes.
Yep. Rock both times.
Oh yeah. It was just
That's when they brought in what's his name? Jason Sensation.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Now Jason was Owen in the DX one. Who was Jason in the
Shawn Michaels.
He was Shawn, okay.
Yeah.
Dropped the ball.
Gay.
Oh, you dropped the ball again, Shawn.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of anything other. The when they have like the picture of the baby on the Titantron with Triple H's face. That's a great looking kid.
You know,
I've seen that before, but I can't put my finger on it.
Huh? How about hey? How do you know how big my dick is?
Or that segment, or an underrated one where Edge and Orton impersonate DX, and then they show up, and Orton's like, "I want you tonight." Easy, big fella. You may want me, but I ain't swinging on that side of the fence, you know what I'm saying? No, what he means, he wants you in this ring tonight so he can beat your ass. What did you say he wants to do to my ass? And Orton's just like,
yep.
Stop it!
There's also Triple H on commentary during the King of the Ring final in '98.
Oh, yeah, bilingual.
I don't want to.
Did I mean to just say that? We're live, pal.
Well, in any case, we're live, pal.
Oh, yeah, we're live, pal. Hey, pal.
Oh, man. But yeah, like the way Triple H would impersonate Vince in the voice, if anyone gets in between me and my dicks, well then, yeah, fire. And then out comes
being that I love cock.
And then out comes Shawn doing the Shane dance with the arms.
I'm dead.
Breaking news: Zack Ryder has now, or Matt Cardona is now in Impact Wrestling. He just made his appearance.
Huh. Well,
moving on.
And moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Anyway, and then of course when the McMahons and the Spirit Squad
is a
come
fucking
out.
jobber.
Quote of the night. Thank you, Walt's son.
Thank you, Atticus.
But damn it! And
so
then out
comes, and we bring it back at the end.
Yeah, and they have the McMahons and Spirit Squad come out. What the hell is this? Well, that's because you're full of crap. Holy shit! Don't worry, just because of Shawn, it is. Holy shit. And if you want to hear the uncensored version of that segment, get the new and improved DX DVD. Totally uncensored, and it's awesome. Yeah, and seeing Shawn's face when he looks over at him after he's like... Because you gotta remember, Shawn, after he became a born-again Christian, you wouldn't hear him do the nasty stuff anymore. It was Triple H. No. But he was still funny playing off of it, which was perfect.
Right, being the straight man. They were always trying to get him out of the segment, like when the girls would flash themselves. Yeah. Like, hey, Shawn, look, there's
Mr. Fuji. Oh, I love Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji
isn't over there. Or when they're chasing Coach around, and it's women's soccer. Yeah.
The build up.
We're going in, aren't we?
The earlier Taker matches were pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like didn't like Triple H or Shawn come in dressed up as a druid?
It was Triple H.
Yeah, they
carried out the casket dressed as druids.
I know what this means. Break it down.
No, it was Shawn. No, it was Shawn. It was Shawn. Because, he was in the middle of the ring. No, he dressed up as Taker.
If you're up there, then who's in the casket?
It just means break it down, and they start dancing to the DX music in the ring.
And I love how The Rock kind of took that trope over anytime in the match with Mankind. He'd be on the headset. Mandible Claw. I like how
you like your under. You like him rare,
or
medium,
extra crispy,
or well done.
Oh boy!
And we're not going to bring up Kitty Vick.
Oh God, no!
Screwed your brains out.
Mm-hmm. But now that I did,
Jesus. But
we started it at the beginning, and we bring it back.
We bring it back at the end. That's right. Right in the end.
And I think that's a good place. Yeah, that's a good place to wrap up. So
yeah, we went long tonight, so
yeah, but hey, it was worth it. So yeah, that was Royal Rumble 1998. Next week, the penultimate episode of Royal Rumble month, we're talking about one of, if not maybe the best overall Royal Rumble pay-per-view of all time, with the second best Rumble match in history, Royal Rumble 2001.
During the show, but we'll get to that then.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a good place to wrap up. Time for plugs, Scott.
Find me on my YouTube channel, Mr. Scott Reacts. You also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. Scott Reacts, and I'm on Twitch at Mr. Scott Rocks.
Walter?
You can find me on Twitter at YourWaltBall, and you can find me on Instagram at smoking_Walt_ball. You can find me on Facebook under my normal name. You can find me on Letterboxd at Smoking Walt Hades. You can also find me and Mr. Scott on the Necrocasticon every Monday night, along with our good friends Token Tom Clark, Sergeant Fury Dan Roberts, or Deerslayer Dan Roberts, as you know, maybe before.
Now he is, yep.
Now he is. And of course the lovely Skip Novak, pretty boy Skip Novak.
Yes, the ass man. I mean the caboose man.
Yeah. Where we talk about the latest and greatest in horror and metal.
And with an upcoming episode with my pal Mr. DK coming up.
Yes.
James?
You can find me on YouTube at We Are Pro Wrestling. I got my From the Vault show, and starting this coming week, I'm going to be having my From the Vault episode on Royal Rumble 1996. The day after, I'm going to be answering all the questions. So it's going to be a two-parter there starting this week going forward. As I said, I'm going to be covering Royal Rumble 1996, and then one more Royal Rumble at the end of the month, and then going forward. And you can follow me on Twitter at WAPW_wrestling.
And finally, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, ThrashManiac99. Basically, right now, I'm still in the middle of doing my Marvel Studios Cup Series stuff. Eventually, I think this Tuesday will be the first album review I've done in over a year. I'm going to be reviewing the new Accept album, Too Mean to Die. And also, later in the month, my good friend King Fat will be showing up to do the NASCAR stuff because I'm just too pissed off to even bother. And yeah, that's pretty much it for YouTube. You can follow me on Twitch and subscribe to me on Twitch, ThrashManiac99. I'll be streaming tomorrow. Maybe multiplayer stuff with Scott, possibly. Maybe some other stuff in between. But tomorrow's going to be a fun day. And then finally, follow me on Twitter at ThrashManiac99. But before we go, hey, Terry, how is the jackass doing?
You have to understand that my name's not Terry, it's Chainsaw Charlie. Chainsaw Charlie is my name that you and all these simple-minded people have to do every day now. And I am no longer a jackass. I am now a jack-off. You're welcome.
Gets me every time, I swear. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we shall... Oh, great.
Two horns high.
We'll see you next week.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And with that...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, there was one more Attica story I wanted to share with you real quick.
Okay.
While I was watching this Rumble right here, he's mimicking something in the back. I don't know. It's just him. He just talks and just rambling on. And he's